On behalf of the Gulf Times, I welcome you again to a very special episode of Diplomatic Dialogue since we are in Mexico City. Today I have the honor and the big pleasure to introduce His Excellency Dr. José Antonio Meade. He's not just a public policy expert, but Minister of State of Mexico 4 times. His job and his professional career has inspired millions through his dedication for the country. Thank you so much, Your Excellency.
And thank you for your kind words.
Your Excellency, your career has been more about serving Mexico, serving the country, more than doing politics. What advice would you give to all this young generation of people that want to help their country beyond just pursuing a position, let's say?
I think if one thinks about Mexico and its challenges, there's many ways from which to serve. And I think that's the important lesson. Public life is fantastic, and dedicating yourself to public service is, of course, a very natural way to serve. But if one thinks about it, there's many positions in the private sector, in the social sector, through which one can endeavor to make Mexico a better place to live, a place for more opportunities, a place for broader outreach. And people like yourself, the work that you do in the Gulf, speaking about the Gulf to Mexico and about Mexico to the Gulf, that also creates opportunities, that also inspires. So every single space creates an opportunity to make Mexico better, to make public life better. So take advantage of them.
Thank you so much. Your Excellency, do you have any personal or professional experience related to Qatar that you would like to share with us?
Well, I was minister under President Peña Nieto. I actually left the ministry almost to the date 10 years ago. And at the time, we really wanted to create a better bridge between Mexico and the Middle East. And of course, Qatar was key to that effort. So we actually made a very detailed effort to review the legal framework of the relationship, and we found it lacking. We found that even though at that time the relationship was about 40 years old, this year is going to turn 50, we didn't really have a legal architecture to support the ambitions that we had in terms of Qatar. So we basically signed with many treaties, including one that would eventually allow air travel between Mexico and Qatar, youth exchanges between our financial sectors, a treaty to avoid double taxation. I think we were then in the process of reviewing a treaty to protect investments of the Qataris here, of Mexicans there. So I think that upgrade of the legal framework would create a very good support for the type of exchanges that we would want to see happening. It dawned on us, of course, back in 2015, that Qatar was going to host the World Cup. And that was a good opportunity as well. Mexico tends to be the second nation after the host that provides more visitors to a World Cup. Yes. So we needed to have diplomatic presence there. So this year, not only are we going to celebrate 50 years of relationship, but actually 10 years of having opened the Mexican Embassy to Qatar and the Qatari Embassy in Mexico. I was privileged to visit a couple of times, and at the time there was a very prominent Mexican living in Qatar, Bora Milutinovic.
Yes, yes.
It turns out that Bora was a very good friend of the Emir, so that helped break the ice. He was a very good representative of Mexico. Yeah. And that is another lesson. You never know which link is going to be important to serve as a bridge between countries, and in the case of Mexico and Qatar, it was actually Bora.
And in this case, in Qatar, also Mexico was the first country who brought the most fans to see the World Cup.
And we typically do, and we were very well behaved.
Yes, yeah, very well behaved, and the image of Mexicans in Qatar is very nice, very clean, and people from Qatar really love Mexicans.
As well they should.
How do you see, Your Excellency, the Middle East as a whole, politically and economically speaking?
I think it has many challenges, as we all know. But I think as one continues to visit the region, the opportunities, the transformation, the agenda that they are working on, the circuits of dialogue that they are now involved, because it's very surprising. At the time, we thought that having some dialogue between Qatar and Mexico made sense, because Mexico had come a long way in transitioning away from energy. Yeah. If you go back to the 90s, 80s, 90s, because energy was a big part of our economy, it was a very big part of our public finances, it was a very big part of our exports. But as time progressed, energy continues to be a very important sector in Mexico, but we diversified our economy away from energy into manufacturing, into services, into tourism. I think that what Qatar we thought that Qatar could benefit from that experience. But again, as we now see, because Mexico can also benefit from what is happening in the region. We're very much involved in the intersection between energy and artificial intelligence, energy and machine learning, the energy and big data and quantum computing and data centers. So I think that the Middle East is now becoming a hub for two very relevant transitions, two very relevant revolutions. They're becoming a hub in terms of transition to net zero, and they're also becoming a hub in terms of adapting and taking advantage of huge technological transformation. So in many ways, because the Middle East today, I think, is the place to be in terms of actually seeing what the intersection of energy and technology can do to the benefit of a country.
So, Your Excellency, you just mentioned it, the Middle East is the place to be. In which areas do you think our regions, the Latin American countries and the Gulf region, can collaborate, specifically in talking about energy, education and technology?
I think there's many. Again, as one looks at Mexico and thinks how we diversified our economy, made it more complex, made it more modern, made our economy reliant on many other sectors, not just energy, I think there's a template there that the Middle East can look at and find some elements that will become interesting. But I think as one looks today at the Middle East and Qatar, was collaborating in education, in culture, in services, in tourism, the way that they are reinventing themselves in all of those areas, so that they are also not just an energy play, but a place where academia is thriving from culture, museums, technology, the future,
yes.
Where many of the positive trends in terms of what is going to make this world better is actually happening. I think if one looks at Latin America and the Middle East, it's not a region that's easy to communicate. For us, it was very important to sign the treaties that will enable for air travel. Today there's cargo travel from Qatar to
yes.
Mexico. Ideally, there was a flight at some point that linked up Qatar to Cancun. I think that's in the process of being renewed. But getting some more exposure via tourism, via academia, via exchanges of the youth. There was an important treaty that we signed there. So leveraging the good institutional framework that we left in place, so that framework results in more opportunities to get to know each other better, I think would result in a benefit for Mexico and the Latin American region. And I think that for Qatar as well. I think there's things that can be learned from Latin America into the Middle East, and there are many things that we can learn in terms of what the Middle East is doing, how fast it is trending, how fast it is transforming, and how exciting it is.
Your Excellency, thank you so much for your time. I hope this is not our last interview, and the next one maybe we can have it in Qatar.
That would be wonderful.
I would just would like to say thank you to Universidad Panamericana for making the link between us, since you now are a professor at the university.
A professor, you're an alumni, so this is a good match.
Yeah,
I'm a father of an alumni.
I wasn't lucky enough to have you as a professor, but now I'm sure that all Mexicans, we can continue to learn from you. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Fernanda. Thank you and hello. Thank you.